Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Preston, and I'm out in Colorado, and this is Winston. He's here with me this morning. So today, I just want to talk a little bit about what I found in an article entitled "The Burdens of Sexual Responsibility That Women Bear for Men and Their Wandering, Lustful Eyes." This is a topic that I think is just interesting to think about. There's so much bullshit involved in the ways that culture blames men's actions on women. And today I want to talk a little bit more specifically about the Catholic religion and their views on women and their responsibility for men's eyes. And um, well, let's just get into it because I found a nice little article on the Catholic moral dress code. And it's a recent article, and I can share it for you underneath here on the YouTubes. It's from a Catholic Apologetics.info website. Thanks, Catholic Apologetics. And it's a nice long article, but basically they talk about how the mortal sin of immodesty, it's a proximal sin because men, when they look at women and have lustful thoughts, right? So lustful thoughts are a sin. Men having lustful thoughts is sinful. And so if a woman dresses in a manner that that encourages lustful thoughts in a man, then not only has the man sinned, but the woman has sinned by creating the sin in the man. Isn't that nice? So a little bit of things in this article, right? When a woman is dressed immodestly, she becomes the temptress for men. And it goes on to talk about, of course, there's all the places where, like going out, right? Like all of the places you would think that they're like, oh, women are dressed immodestly. But then it also, I had to share this. When a woman is dressed, or sorry, regrettably, too many sports are taboo for us Catholics. Not that they are in themselves a sin or a near occasion of sin, but because of the skimpy attire that such sports require. So apparently, women should not be playing sports because there's skimpy outfits. It goes on to talk about swimsuits and the gymnastics dress, such, right. I won't go into it. And then it talks about Pope Pius the 11th, who had in mind when he said, a dress cannot be decent, which is cut deeper than 2 fingers breadth under the pit of the throat, which does not cover the arms at least to the elbows, fingers breadth under, and scarcely reaches a bit beyond the knees. Furthermore, dresses of transparent materials are improper. Ladies, men, girls, and boys should always wear underwear and no beige material that leaves the impression at a distance of having no clothes. If a skirt is snug, it should reach well below the knees. No shorts, no bathing suits, and no pants for females. Okay, Pope Pius the 11th. That's his thoughts on these things. I found another article just talking about the last 2,000 years, how the popes have repeatedly implored women to dress modestly, emphasizing that immodest dress can be a proximate occasion of sin, as I was talking about before. It can allure men into committing sins of unchastity. Women have a moral obligation to avoid enticing men with immodest apparel. When a woman deliberately dresses immodestly, that is dressing to attract instead of dressing attractively. She is committing sin and separating herself from God. But don't worry, I found a solution that men can use. It is called, what did they call it? Oh my gosh, custody of the eyes. Don't worry, men. There's a way to avoid your lustful thoughts because women are out there just dressing attractively. You can practice custody of the eyes. It's an old practice in which you just don't look at things. So first, if you're struggling with the way a woman is dressed, immediately look at her face. I don't care how beautiful a woman is. It is essentially impossible to lust after someone's face. I'm just reading from an article if you can't tell. The face is the icon of each person's humanity, and it is far easier to respect a woman's dignity when you're looking at her face and not her body. So hey, yeah, good advice. To look a woman in the eyes and not stare at her breasts. That's actually some great advice. Um, yeah. Second, it might just be appropriate to stare at the floor sometimes, especially if there's no other way to avoid temptation. This doesn't have to be the norm, but if the situation warrants it, it is foolish not to do so. You don't want to have those lustful thoughts, men. Stare at the floor instead. Third, avoid places you know are especially problematic for you. For most men, the beach is a problem. Dozens of women in tiny bikinis is just too much. If that's the case for you, avoid the beach. Great advice. Finally, fast and pray. This should go without saying, and yet I am always amazed that men think they can control themselves without God's help. How can you control yourself without fasting and praying? It just simply is impossible. We always need grace in the battle against concup concupiscence. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just reading the article. But anyway, we always need grace in the battle against obviously lusting after women. And if we trust in ourselves and our own willpower, we will do nothing but fail. Okay, so so women are at fault for men's lustful thoughts, right? That's what we've been taught forever. And it's not just the Catholics, of course, it's the evangelicals, it's the Muslims. So many religions teach that women are responsible for men's behaviors and their actions, and very definitely their lustful thoughts. Look, I was just gonna zip up my shirt. Don't look at my breasts. Um, yeah, so it's women's fault that men have sin in their hearts and their minds. It's women's jobs to make sure that they don't, because we're proximally creating sin for them. And obviously, if men do something wrong, something sinful, like, I don't know, rape or touching a woman without consent, it's obviously the woman's fault because she was dressing immodestly, right? Um, yeah, this is like so much bullshit, right? And very specifically still being taught by a lot of people. And it's interesting to me that men are not encouraged to bear any responsibility other than custody of the eyes, where in which you don't look at anything, right? There are just so many layers of problems here. One, that any kind of sexual thought is bad. Like, that's just oof, right. Okay. But even if you're good with that idea that, like, sex is right, like maybe you believe sex is meant only for the married couple, like after you get married, right, and it's only for procreation. Still, even if that's your belief, the idea that men have no ability not to not to just only think about women's bodies and breasts and sticking their penis in a woman, like, this is, like, that's just so ridiculous that the church is teaching that men have no ability to control any of this. Now, I know a lot of people. I've met a lot of people in this world, and the people that I interact with have a lot of ability not to just non-consensually act towards other people. They just don't do it. They're just not like that's just not an option for a lot of people, because they're like, there's just like, I'm just not going to do it. And then it's like, and maybe they have lustful thoughts, sure, okay, okay, but but they're able to not harm others when they are, like, accidentally turned on, I guess, by women bodies. Also, don't the conservatives understand that, like, we could just normalize bodies, and then seeing the shoulders or seeing a woman's shoulders or her elbows wouldn't be seen as sexual. Like it's possible for men not to be turned on by shoulders and elbows and stomachs too. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot to this. But these are just some of my thoughts, and a lot to be found on the web about Catholics and their ideas about women's responsibility towards men. And I hope you all know it's a bunch of bullshit. Um, Men, you are responsible for your own lustful thoughts. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, you have to own that. Women, you go ahead and do what you want.